The first thing that you need to review is what language scientists use when they are doing the system of classification. Again, what language do scientists use when they are studying the system of classification? Make sure you review the name that scientists use when they are talking about a two-part naming system. There is a name associated with it. Review that name. Two-part naming system is the definition, basically, and there is a name that it is called. Review the branch of biology that is used to classify or name things. Review the rules of binomial nomenclature. The rules of binomial nomenclature. For example, which part is capitalized, which part is lowercase. If I give you these two names here on the test, Homo sapien, Homo sapien neanderthalis, and I ask you which part of the name suggests that there is a close relationship, you should be able to answer from 4 multiple choice questions stating which one of the taxonomic names suggests that there's a close relationship between those two. What is unique about the second part of the scientific name? What is unique about the second part of the scientific name?
Is it that it's lowercase?
How many levels are there in Linnaeus' system of classification? These are rhetorical questions, folks. How many, again, what or how many levels of the Linnaeus system of classification exist? If you are given, well, you need to make sure that you review the following, okay? You need to know the fact that this is domain and that domain is the largest classification grouping, and you need to know all of the different things that fall within the domain. So whether you use the mnemonic that I gave you or whether you create your own, you have to know that did King Philip come over for graduation Sunday? Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And not only do you need to know those, but you need to know things such as which taxonomic group comes after kingdom, which taxonomic group comes before order, which taxonomic group comes before the species name, which taxonomic group comes after family. So you're going to have to know going down from broadest to smallest and also going up from the most specific to the broadest, because we know that species is the most specific, kingdom would be the broadest category, okay, when we're referring to that. Describe which kind of heterotrophs are non-mobile and what kingdom do they belong to. Non-mobile heterotrophs, which kingdom would they belong to? Describe what all organisms have in common. All organisms on the planet, no matter what they are, what do they have in common? List the two highest levels in the taxonomic Linnaeus system. The 2 highest levels, what are they? Be able to choose from them. During the time period that Linnaeus came up with this system, there were at first 2 kingdoms. What were those 2 kingdoms early on? In addition to that, why do we have 6 kingdoms now? What is it that led us to go from 2 kingdoms to 6? There are 6 kingdoms, as I mentioned before. 4 of them are basically eukaryotic organisms. What is similar about the kingdom Protista, plant, fungi, and animal? What similarities do those 4 kingdoms share? Make sure you are able to differentiate between kingdom Eubacteria and kingdom Archaebacteria. How are those two kingdoms different? Which kingdom, or which domain do extremophiles belong to? Organisms that can live in extreme conditions on Earth. Which domain would they fall into? Which kingdom and domain would an amoeba belong to? An amoeba. What kingdom? Then what domain would it belong to? Now, protists are both animal-like and plant-like, or some of them. So what are the similarities between protists and animals? And what are similarities between protists and plants? Organisms that are multicellular and autotrophic, what kingdom would they belong to? Multicellular and autotrophic. Also, organisms that are multicellular and heterotrophic, what kingdom would they belong to? Multicellular and autotrophic, and what kingdom? Multicellular and heterotrophic, and what kingdom? Be able to differentiate between heterotrophs and autotrophs. What makes those two groups unique? Make sure that, again, heterotrophs and autotrophs. Differentiate between omnivores, herbivores, and carnivores. Omnivores, herbivores, and carnivores. Differentiate between those. There are 22 multiple choice. There are 2 matching, and the 2 matching are based off a dichotomous key, similar to the shark lab and the dichotomous key that is in your lecture notes. So you'll be given 2 organisms that you have to find what they are using the dichotomous key and selecting the right answer that represents those organisms. You have one short answer. You have one short answer that is based off of a cladogram. So you're going to have to analyze a cladogram and answer questions about the derived characteristics, which organisms are more closely related than others.
Who's that? Wait, can you say that again?
There's a question about cladograms. Short answer question about cladograms, where you have to analyze the cladogram. The last group of questions deals with, it's a science skill question. You are going to be given a pyramid similar to this one. It won't give you the kingdom, the phylum, the class, the order, the family, the genus, or the species, but it'll give you names of organisms, and you're going to have to properly place them into the taxonomic categories. So they might give you chordata, and where does chordata belong? And what does chordata represent? They might give you canis, and what part of the classification system that represents. They might give you Homo sapien, and they might say put that in its proper order on the taxonomic classification system. So in total, there are 28 questions.